welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. A little earlier, I was playing around with Autumn, and she jumped up and busted my lip open with her head, and it is starting to really hurt. But we just took a nap. She's still napping, and it's just like the good old days where I would wake up and record. So that's what we're doing. You would think that my head would be a little more challenged when I first wake up, but it seems to be a little better when I first wake up. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But welcome, and I'm glad you're here. I wanted to talk today about willfulness versus willing. I heard somebody say that um, yesterday or today. I'm not sure. Yesterday or the day before. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about. And then this morning, I was thinking about how I went to the water yesterday with Autumn, like I have been doing since we moved here. I walked down to the water. I have this amazing really long winter coat, and it's by a company called Free Country. If you haven't heard of them, look them up. It's a little late now, but they have a big, gigantic clearance sale towards Christmas, before Christmas, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And it sells out pretty fast, but it's just amazing clothes for really affordable prices. I sound like a commercial. I have the best coat. And so I walked down to the water yesterday. It was like 30 degrees or something, and it was windy. And Autumn has her Weimaraner coat, which I bought. It's specifically designed for Weimaraners. So it has like a turtleneck because she has a really long neck, and it just fits her perfectly. It's like waterproof on the outside and fleece on the inside. So, long ass story short, we walked down to the water and I got down there and it was like overcast. It was starting to get dark and it was just freaking freezing. But I didn't feel freezing because I had my awesome coat on and she had her awesome coat on. And we walked down to the water. It was like the water was wavy and rippling because it was so windy and it was so overcast that it's like that, when a hurricane's coming through and there's like a ceiling of clouds that are like low. That's what it was like. And I said to Autumn, it's beautiful. Oh, Autumn. And I thought it struck me when I said that because I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it wasn't beautiful. It, depending on what I brought down to the water, what attitude I walked down to the water with, it was going to be either beautiful or not beautiful. And yesterday it happened to be beautiful because that was the attitude that I brought down. That's what I wanted to talk about. And this morning's meeting was about how every day is a gift. And I think that if we can recognize that every day is a gift, that it's not owed to us, but it is offered to us, and we get to choose what we're going to do with it. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, all that stuff that we hear. But when we recognize that every day is a gift, that's when we choose what we're going to bring down to the water. And with all the things that have been going on with me, and honestly, I guess it is a lot of things. It is a lot of things. I try to diminish them so that I don't feel so stressed about it. But as I told you yesterday, I've been having panic attack symptoms for like 3 weeks now. So I guess ignoring it, it isn't doing anything positive for me. the I've got all this stuff going on, and yet I still find a way. It really fascinates me to to see positivity and to feel serene. That's what emotional sobriety is. I think being able to, I think what's interesting me today about it is I'm recognizing that emotional sobriety is not linked to my anxiety. That's what's interesting to me today. Um, I thought it was until I sat down to record today that I'm actually having heart palpitations right this minute, yet I do feel very serene. I feel okay. I feel in my head like there's nothing to worry about, but my heart seems to be of a different opinion. Um, so anyway, that's kind of what's going on underneath my skin. Um, Connection and community fellowship, that definitely helps to elevate what I'm going to show up with each day. And that's why I start my mornings with it. Over the past couple weeks, I've actually skipped some of my morning meetings, which it had been unheard of for the past few years. But I recognized that I had to sleep in. I had to. I simply couldn't function, and I had to sleep in. And I ended up listening to my church sermon and being a part of my peer recovery class. So I got what I needed that day, but it's definitely different when I don't connect with my fellowship in the mornings. There's something really sacred about that. What I heard this morning, that's what the reading was about, or that's what I heard this morning was about fellowship. And somebody said there's a power that's generated when people are together. I'm paraphrasing, but he was acknowledging that there's this like energy that is born from people being together. And I feel that energy when I'm in a meeting. I have felt that energy just in an astonishing way in my peer recovery class. I got to do my presentation, as I think I mentioned yesterday. And I told them, like, there is something here in this room with the people that are present talking about their emotional experiences, their mental health experiences and the emotions that go with that, and the healing that goes with that, and the perspective. And that perspective, it doesn't change. I don't know. I guess it does. The perspective that we have on our experiences changes over the years. That's what healing feels like for me. Um, so yeah, I mean that's the gift. The day is a gift, the fellowship is a gift, and being able to have someone to generate that energy with, that healing energy with, is a gift. So the other day, I was in some meeting. I was in a meeting or I was in my class, I'm not sure, but somebody mentioned willfulness versus willingness. And so I thought that was another interesting topic. I like when we look at words, and the reason why is because a word, when I hear it, can elicit an emotion because I have a presumed understanding of the meaning. And often, just like humility, often it can be wrong. It can be, I can be reacting to a word that is similar to another word. So, humility, for example, sounds a lot like humiliation. Sorry, my eyeballs are hurting. Um, just another symptom of everything that's going on in my head. So, my eyeballs are hurting. But so, humility sounds a lot like humiliation. And I've done an episode on that. And I thought willful sounds a lot like willing. And so I wanted to look at those words and see, is willingness giving me some sort of emotion that I didn't recognize before? So willfulness is forcing the outcomes, resisting reality, and gripping on tightly to what we feel that we can control, but we actually can't. But we don't realize that. And willingness is the opposite. Isn't that weird? Willingness, it because it's the root word is the same word. Willingness is loosening up the fist, opening up your heart, and allowing something bigger than yourself to guide you, like surrendering into trusting something else, some power greater than yourself, some person, something outside of yourself. Like willfulness is all me at the center, and willingness is all you at the center. In early sobriety, willfulness looked like me trying to outthink my disease. And right, that didn't work. And I was just talking about that recently. Willingness was when I accepted my disease. I accepted that there was some other way and allowed my recovery, the program, to start carrying me through that, carrying me through all of that hard stuff so that I could begin to heal. And in connecting willfulness and willingness to my stroke recovery, it is identical for me. And that's why I'm writing that book. And when I say writing, it means I'm thinking about writing the book. I did write a couple chapters, and I don't think I told you I met with, we're going to take a little side trip, um, a little side road here, but I talked to, at the craft show on Saturday, I talked to the authors club in the neighborhood, and I told them they were really nice, of course. Everybody's nice here. And I told them that I'm writing a book, that I'm wanting to write a book, and I've written, like, I have the outline, I have the first couple chapters, and that's where I stopped. It's like I'm procrastinating, I guess that's what it is. And I know why. It's because I have symptoms when I sit down to write. I have my head symptoms to deal with. Um, anyway, why did I talk about that? I don't even remember now. You probably do, but I don't remember. So willfulness in relation to my stroke recovery, willfulness was those first 2 years after I had my stroke and I was fighting the disability. I was demanding my old capabilities to come back, and it wasn't working. There was nothing I could do to make my eyes work the way that they used to work. There was nothing I could do to behave or act the same way, move the same way, do the same things without extreme pain. pain. Willingness was when I accepted where I was and I started walking that path to recovery, which is a lifelong path. I had to hop on the trail. I had to get out of the weeds. I was, they were encapsulating me. I don't know. You know, the Harry Potter episode, and I only know this because I'm listening to Harry Potter recently because I'm going to lots of shiny coins in my in my episode today. I'm going to a support group tonight. It's like a support group that's guided by somebody in my peer recovery class, and she's taking Harry Potter. The group or the class or whatever is called Ridiculous. So she's taking this idea of anxiety and depression and OCD, and which I don't think I have OCD. I could very well have symptoms of it, and I'm not aware, but um, she like relates the anxiety and the depression and the stuff going on between our ears to Harry Potter and how you can find humor in some of that scary stuff, some of those fears. So I'm excited to do that. I don't know why I keep taking these side roads and I don't know how I got there. Any, anyway, I know because there's a Harry Potter episode. Sorry. I guess this is what happens when I take a nap and then I record. There's a Harry Potter episode. I think it's one of the last ones where they're running through like a maze or something like that, and then in the maze, the one of the guys, not Harry Potter, but the guy he's racing, um, the weeds come out and grab a hold of him and they start pulling him into the bushes. And that's what I was thinking about with willfulness and willingness. Like when the weeds are grabbing a hold of me and pulling me into the bushes, that is willfulness. I'm doing everything I can to fight. And the willingness is when those let go, when the weeds let go. And I think Harry Potter had to get involved there, and that's what happens. I need other people to get involved. I need to allow people to help me. Um, so guess what the cartoon for this episode is going to be of? We'll see if I can get Chatty McChatterton to create that image. um, so the emotional landscape that I was navigating when I was drinking was I couldn't handle my own emotions. I didn't understand them. It felt like I thought about this morning, it felt like trying to tame a wild animal. It was unpredictable, it was overwhelming, and it just felt like there was a wild animal inside of me, like trying to claw its way out of my chest. Um, and it's scary. Today in sobriety, I know, and this is interesting too, that the best way for me to tame that wild animal is for me to calm down. When I went to dog training for Autumn, that was the first thing that they taught me because dog training is teaching me, not the dog. And the first thing that they taught me is how to slow down, how to calm down, because my my willfulness was making me rush. And I tend to rush things and I tend to hold on tight. Um, what's a good example? Oh, like when I was training Autumn, when they were training me, she would walk beside me in heel and I would hold on to the leash and I was like, I had the leash like up here at my chest and my shoulder was all tight, you know? And because I'm thinking the only way that she's going to walk beside me is if I hold this leash as tight as possible. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing to the leash in my hand if it's loose. when it's connected to her. And they said to me, relax your arm, relax your hand. Like I should be able to walk down the street, and I can now, but it took me a lot of training. I should be able to walk down the street with Autumn, and it doesn't even look like I have a leash in my hand. I'm just walking. So I have this really light leash because she doesn't pull, which takes a lot of a lot of training, and that is her. That is all her. Um, but so I have this really loose, light leash so that when she pulls, there's a distinct difference that she feels. And when she pulls, I stop in my tracks. So she knows we're not going to move if she pulls. And, but I never, when I had my dog Evie, for those of you, there's a couple of you on here that know who Evie is, my little princess. When I had Evie, for those of you who don't know, she was a coonhound beagle and she was a little romantic. She always looked like she was just romancing. You know, she had really soft eyes and very gentle dog. But when I took her outside, she just pulled. I mean, pulled the whole way, like hacking because it's closing off her airway and everything. But she couldn't understand how to not pull. Um, and I didn't have the patience back then. What it required was for me to be able to stop and teach her that if you pull, we're not going to move. And sometimes what those walks looked like with Autumn early on were we walked down the street, like one block, not around the block. We walked one block down the street and back because that's how long it took for us to get anywhere because she keep pulling. So I kept stopping. And, but that was something that I needed to learn. I needed to learn how to stop fighting and start being, I guess, a couple, having a companionship with her. We're speaking through our movements. And if she is willful, then I'm going to stop. And if she's willing to walk alongside me, then we can walk. It's really neat. And she's really smart. Sometimes I think that maybe Boris the Bulldog is smarter than smarter than her. Sorry, Autumn. But anyway, she learns that way. And it takes a lot of stopping, noticing how I'm feeling. If I'm getting frustrated, then I need to notice that and breathe. I need to observe. Is she acting a little more excited at this moment in time? If she is, then we need to stop for longer. We need to actually stop so that and wait until she finally looks at me like, what are we doing, lady? Why aren't we moving? Because she's like just hyper focused on other things and she's not being my partner. Um, that is so relatable to me to just recovery and healing and teaching ourselves how to stop and notice like is my mind all over the place right now because I'm getting frustrated with myself and I just I can't keep going if I don't just stop, observe, and wait until my heartbeat calms down. That happens a lot for me. So the idea of walking down to the water and bringing the lens to see what the world is giving me to look at, what lens am I going to look through? I can let my mood and my mindset and my fears create that lens, or I can allow my faith to create that lens. I can allow my recovery program to create that lens. Um, Despite the bleakness, when I walked down there yesterday, it was beautiful to me. For some reason, I just saw so much power. That was the word that came to mind when I was down there. It was just so, it wasn't gentle. Like it's usually sunny and sometimes the wind is blowing, sometimes not, but it was just really harsh down there. It was an example of what Mother Nature can provide. But yet I saw something different. I saw something that was worth standing there and breathing in for a second. Um, that is willingness. That is willingness to go along for the ride, choose presence instead of um, fear or disappointment, choosing gratitude. I usually walk down there and send my gratitudes to my sponsor, but I forgot my phone. So I didn't do my gratitudes. But choosing gratitude anyway. I mean, I did my gratitude between my ears because when I said, Autumn, it's beautiful, that was an example of gratitude. Like I was noticing, I wasn't resisting the fact that I was down there and the wind was freezing. I was super warm in my free country coat. Um, so today emphasized for me that statement that one of my folks in my fellowship who passed away used to always say, we only have today. And willfulness tries to live in the future. And willingness is really what's anchoring me to the present. My anxiety, my disability, my sobriety, my recovery work, all gives me a different body that I have to deal with every day. All of that stuff is so dynamic that I don't know what I'm going to get every day. I went to get my hairs did today. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I got a new hairdresser. But when I went there, I felt a little uncomfortable because I couldn't wear my glasses. So, and it had big bright lights and everything. But I did find sitting in the chair was challenging. I kept getting nauseous. As long as I kept one foot on the floor instead of, how they have like a little foot rail on those hairdresser chairs that move around and they can put you up or down. Um, I couldn't have both feet on that because I felt like I was floating and it made me nauseous. So I had to keep one foot on the ground. But other than that, I was fine until I went to pay. And when I went to pay, like I put my card up to do the beepy thing, and when it cleared, the screen swiped to the right and asked me like how much tip I want to give. And so I was like, ugh, that made me sick. And so I pushed my 20% tip. And as soon as I pushed the button, the screen flew to the left again. And I think they're trying to make it cool looking for people, but with my disability, it made me sick like that. And so that's the kind of struggle that I don't know when it's going to happen. But if I'm in my right space, like no matter how much my body struggles, my heart's skipping, I can still, it's like I feel like I have a good connection with myself. That I'm aware immediately that that didn't feel good, and what to do. Sometimes there's not much I can do. I mean, I could have said, here, take my card. Can you do this for me? Because it hurts my head. They do know that I have a disability, but they don't really, it's not very apparent to somebody who's standing in front of me. There were options for me, but I always try to do things myself. But I think I'm learning how to just be okay and have that connection that's always firing between me and what's going on between my ears, and almost soothing myself. Like I always tell you, that sometimes I'll just pause and be like, I'm my own mom, and check in. And that's the power of what the program does for me, at least. I think that I've definitely been feeling better since I recorded yesterday. So there was no question that I was going to record today, even though I'm a little late to start making dinner. I'm going to do it all. I'm going to do it all. Because there is that power that's generated when people are together, and I feel some sort of remnants of that even when I'm just recording. Because when I'm recording, I'm picturing you, I'm picturing your faces, I'm picturing all of the people who have clicked follow. And I got a message from one of the listeners just a few days ago that said, this is an amazing podcast for people who are in recovery. Thank you so much for your, sharing your experience or something like that. Sorry, I'm not blowing it off. I just don't remember exactly what it said, but I do remember exactly how it made me feel. And it made me feel like, this is why you're doing it. Keep going. And I need that. I talk about it frequently, that sometimes I'm just recording and I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this, because some days I feel disconnected, but I do it anyway. And some days I feel like shit and I do it anyway. So, I think it's it's something worth considering every day to ask yourself, will I be willful today or will I be willing? What lens will I bring down to the water today? Some days the water's calm, some days it's cold and dark and windy. But when I'm willing and I feel connected to my fellowship and I'm practicing acceptance, I'm more likely, it's not going to happen every time, I'm more likely to see how beautiful it is. And it is, today is a gift. Everything that I get to experience is a gift. My fellowship is a gift. The ability that I get to use my voice, right? That was part of the reason why I started my podcast, was because I lost my voice. I lost my ability to speak what I was thinking when I had my stroke. And that was scary. And it was something that I thought, I need to use my voice. And so that's why I'm here today. And this is the kind of place where healing happens for me. And I hope you feel the same way. You must, or you wouldn't keep coming back. So thank you so much for listening today. And I will maybe talk to you tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. I'm still getting through my class. I've got 4 more days until the class is over. So I hate to be so unpredictable lately, but you get it. I know you get it. And so I will talk to you when I talk to you.